Milan, you're CEO of Newron. So I guess it's the largest biotech in Italy, at least by market cap, like 500 million euro market cap.
That's what you claim.
Yeah.
We saw the map and we were very much in light of that map. There was, to be perfectly fair, there was an Italian biotech that was larger than us in market cap terms. That was Cosmo. Yeah. And they made the mistake of moving their site, so it is now us and we are growing.
So that's great. And so you are doing small molecules and CNS indication, and you have been really successful with it, actually. I mean, just last week we published the news about you. You just got FDA approval for one of your Parkinson's drug. Yeah, you can clap. So, I mean, I guess that's my first question. I mean, very few biotech companies, European biotech companies, have been successful on bringing a drug on the US market. Like, how was it?
It was an incredible experience because the FDA usually doesn't do what the applicants want to. And so was it in our case. So they gave us 2 years delay compared to the European approval. Okay. The first one was when they said that the data we presented for European filing was perfectly fine, but they wished something like an extra 50,000 tables to be done from the US perspective. That delayed us by about 6 months. And then on the day that we should have seen the approval, and it was March last year, on the very last day, last minute of the day, they came back with a complete response letter instead of an approval. And they said, we wish to have some abuse and withdrawal effects measured, something that would have delayed us easily by another 24 months. And you see by the approval now happening 10 days ago, they, in the end, waived completely that request. So it is always worth getting to discussions and fight with the authorities, and sometimes you might win, but still it's a 2 years delay over the European approval.
That's, congrats again for this. And so in the US, the sales are handled by a partner. What's your expectation in terms of sales or treating patients?
Now, let's look at the drug. It's the first new drug, new chemical entity that was approved globally, US and Europe, in the last 11 years, 12 years now. In the European label, it says that this is the first drug ever that was tested in double-blind placebo-controlled studies for 2 years before it was approved. And in a disease which is going on and on, a 2 years benefit, that means the promise by a doctor, if you take this drug, after 2 years, you will still be doing better than the day when you first got it. That is a huge promise. Yeah. And the second thing is, it is the first Parkinson drug ever with more than just a dopaminergic mechanism that everybody has. But this one has the glutamatergic mechanism, which is the key to dyskinesia, a very painful side effect of the current medication. So it comes with 2 real advantages over current therapies. And that's why we are so proud, and that is what goes back to the heritage of Newron, which indeed is Famitalia Carlo Erba, a small company that was acquired by Pharmacia many years ago. And then Pharmacia closed down the Italian operations, and the people who founded Newron were offered to move to Kalamazoo, Michigan. Now imagine Italians moving to Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is the equivalent of permafrost. That doesn't work out. So these guys decided in '99 to get the VC money and start a business. And that is what has now turned into an approval, because that first drug was given away from Pharmacia, by Pharmacia, for 1 million lira. Everybody who still reminds the old times, that is 250 euros.
Okay. It's quite a good deal.
It was a good deal, I have to say, ex post. And there's some people in the room who smelled it might become a good deal, and I have to mention Alexandra here, who as a partner in TVM, joined into Newron as a shareholder, and she was in our board for a number of years. So thanks also to the people from Munich. And I know that Alexander Pollack is here as well, who was in the team at the same time. But Alexandra was our partner in TVM. So thanks to Munich for making this Italian biotech a big success.
That's why you came as well. And I guess, I mean, CNS is a field where you have just so much failure in the recent years. How was it in 2000, like starting Parkinson's drug? Like, how was it?
I mean, CNS is a challenging topic because for many indications like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, we still don't have a clue of how and why it starts, much less do we have treatments to stop it. And you might say that's now different from certain cancer types, which has seen a lot of investment in the last 2 decades or 3 decades with a lot of success. Now what we see is growing interest again in CNS.
Yeah.
With the more success you have, the more new therapies you bring, the more money gets into it. And I'm convinced that we will see a truly fascinating journey now in the next 20 years on CNS drug and innovation.
Yeah. And talking about innovation in CNS, I think you're doing only small molecules. Do you believe there will be a shift also towards biologicals? Or?
Yeah, might be. But that's speculative. I mean, we might see gene therapy. We are trying to treat a disease that's called Rett syndrome. Yeah. And the only true answer to Rett's will be a genetic cure. But improvement of symptoms can go with small molecules or large molecules, yes.
Yeah, both. So you don't have plans to go into biologicals?
No, we won't. The knowledge of Newron is clearly in small molecules. And now that we are on the brink of becoming a commercial business, I think the strategy is to add more compounds that make us a successful but commercial business, and that might be true by mid-2019 when Rett's hits the market, when Cerezotan and Rett's hits the market.
Yeah, talking about the rest of the pipeline, can you tell a bit more about the rest of the pipeline?
Yeah, so sophienamide, called brand name Xadago, that's fully licensed, so we don't have any commercial rights. You might say, okay, that's fair, you get the passive income, no more investment, no more risk for us investors, 450 to 700 million sales potential. Yeah. So that's pretty nice. So what else do you have? What is the story of Newron now? And so Cerezotan in Rett's is in the one and only pivotal study that it needs. And that is in a rare disease. So promise number 1, by mid next year with that study reading out, and there's no shortcuts here, this is a state-of-art double-blind placebo-controlled study in 6 months treatment plus 6 months safety. No shortcut like Sarepta, the magic word these days. Full state-of-the-art. If that study comes out positive, we have the next approval drug in Europe and the United States. Given that we are targeting 10 to 20,000 patients in Rett's in the US and Europe alone, we will commercialize this drug ourselves. No license on this compound, gentlemen. Whoever wants this drug buys the company.
How much?
Is that insider? No, we're all friends, right? So a multiple of today's market cap.
Yeah. Or the double of the market cap?
No.
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 Would be nice, no?
Yeah, from today's point of view, but one thing I've learned, I'm with Newron now for 12 years, don't shoot too short.
Yeah. That's great. And I guess you stepped into Newron as CFO, yeah. And then you became CEO. And I think from my sources that you had some struggles to raise money at the beginning, like really in the early days. How was that? Yeah.
I mean, there was a phase when nobody gave a penny on Newron, and so whenever you hear somebody has achieved something, do never forget that whoever gets to the achievement of success has gone through a lot of ups and downs in biotech. So our meltdown was in 2011 when our partner Merck Serono, just 5 months ahead of the last 2 phase 3 data in Parkinson global studies, 1,100 patients run by Quintiles. They decided to terminate the agreement and return the rights to us. The market cap imploded. We were, you could have bought us for 10 million Swisses at the time with 5 million cash left. So there have been those times, and there was a small Italian company nobody would want to see in a press release if it wasn't a public company. A small Italian company that said, our strategy is to get back into patent-protected drugs, and we are OTC, but we cannot afford to buy late-stage patent-protected drugs. So we came, dead like hell, with the need of 20 million euros of cash to take back our compound, to take it through the completion of the last 2 phase 3 studies, and to take into registration and approval. And this company, Zambon, which is our partner in the global rights, but Japan and Asia, gave us those 20 million. And they took the bet. And 5 months later, the data came and they were positive. Another year later, we had access to the full data and we could disclose them. And this is how Zambon got their hands on a globally approved Parkinson drug, the first one in 12 years. So there's no up without a lot of downs having gone through. And that is the positive message to everybody who is here, who is right now with his company in some difficulty. if you haven't gone through the difficulty, you will never get to success. So get through it.
So we have to get through some difficulties.
Well, yeah, fighting. I mean, the one message from those who got somewhere, and there's no promise because biotech is biotech and we can be beaten up terribly tomorrow. The one message is if you get through a lot of trouble, you will be much better than before. And that might make you a winner.
I can only agree. I mean, I founded the company and yeah, you have ups and downs every day. So yeah, that's great. And I guess, I mean, one question is like, you're very, very European. I mean, you are like German CEO, company based in Milan, listed in Switzerland, with Munich-based investors. Like, how did that profit to your business? Like?
You forgot that our chief medical officer is Indian, Swiss, US citizen. We have Scottish, we have English, we have French, we have Italian, Spanish. I think this is the magic thing about biotech. And it is the magic about European biotech much more than just a US, because the US after 200 years feels a bit more like US, United States, and Europe is still much more diversity, and that is so thrilling and exciting, even if sometimes I believe we should have much more Europe. We should not just have one central approval for drugs, but we should also have one central pricing for drugs. Yeah. After having a central approval, you have to fight 28 wars on reimbursement of your drug. But also speaking as a citizen of Germany and Europe, I believe we should be much more European and much more proud of being European and valuing what Europe has given to us, like the chance to work with one company, me just going to Milan and saying, I want to live here, I want to work here, and nobody has the right to keep me from doing so. That's Europe, and it's brilliant. It feels fantastic.
Should not leave countries out like the UK.
I think the Brexit is the most devastating, stupid decision that a country has taken in 200 years. Yeah. And that is for both sides. There's no winner here. There's only losers in this stupid decision.
Yeah, yeah, that's very sad. I mean, actually, we are trying to also contribute to like bringing people together in Europe and the European biotech ecosystem. And I mean, one way is to inform them so they collaborate, and then you see like Brexit, and you see that people are actually trying to split. It's actually really sad. But yeah. Do you have any questions? Somewhere. You can just ask them and I will just repeat them. Just raise your hand or speak. And don't be shy. Yeah?
Do you collaborate with universities to develop new drugs?
All right, so I will just repeat. So if you are, good question. Talking about university collaboration, I guess that's a really good topic. Biotech companies usually license in. How is your situation?
So yes, we do work with universities. Unfortunately, right now, not to identify new discovery projects early stage, because we are still of a size and a market cap and funds available that doesn't afford and doesn't support us to take early compounds through another 10, 15 years. Right now, the strategy is find and develop and get approved. And I know this is probably not sustainable forever. And so the message must be we must get to such a size and power to refund that we can afford again to take drugs from early on to get to the next level, like drugs that will cure diseases of the CNS and not just improve the symptoms. We must get there. Right now, funding is clearly the bottleneck, and that is unfortunately still different between European and US companies, even if you can tap US investors, but you will only get access to 1/4 or 1/3 max of US investors who go transatlantic. So that's still a clear limitation of European biotech, and we must get over it.
Yeah.
So you are listed in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Switzerland is a nice place because there is the pharma industry around, there is some vibrancy, at least a certain element of vibrancy.
Yeah.
Now, considering that you have been listing in Switzerland, and there is also a capital market structure, are you also considering moving to the US as the next step? Because the amount of capital for a public company is much higher on that basis, particularly if you have a launch drug.
Well, I will repeat the question. So Switzerland is really nice. You have a lot of money. You are listed in Switzerland. Do you think about listing in the US to get even more money?
Absolutely. You cannot ignore this largest marketplace in the world when it comes to capital. But it is a promise, it is not a certainty. So if you are not having a real reason to be there, like a drug being marketed there, and that could be mid-19 was the reason I'm getting there, then you have an absolute reason to go there. If you are just one of 4,000 and you are in the lower third of those 4,000, NASDAQ will be a failure. You won't get coverage, you won't get attention, you won't get more money. If you make it to the upper 2/3, if you have something promising, a good story to tell, then you have all the ways to go to get all the money, more coverage, larger deals, more money to expand the pipeline, do more in research. That is the key entry into that cascade of growth.
Yeah.
You cannot ignore it, but you must be well prepared. In the last 12 months, we have rarely seen an IPO or a transaction in the US from European side that has not been practically done by insiders. So you must have, and even US IPOs and US follow-ons, where many were done only with the more than 50% or even more subscribed by insiders. So we must see a better environment in the US again, and you must have a reason to be there, and then it's the absolute yes.
And why Switzerland as a first listing?
When we did our listing in 2006, I have to admit, obviously being German, I thought, can I propose Frankfurt? I have to say, Frankfurt at the time when we did discuss it was still devastated from the Neue Markt. And I'm not sure that has substantially changed. I think we have seen Brain, and I have to say it's a fantastic company, but it's just one that I'm aware of at least, and I might have missed one. Switzerland has only seen one also in the last 18 months, and we had a long time of no IPOs in Switzerland. So if you did it today, you might consider Amsterdam, Paris. But quite honestly, in Europe, I don't see a real big difference. Switzerland is a nice place to be these days. You have half-year reportings only, the regulator environment is very pragmatic. So it's a good place to be. So the real choice is European or US.
Yeah. It's great. Any other question? Even from behind or there? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear my voice from
Yeah,
there.
go on.
What's the role of Newron in personalized medicine? Do you take any actions, especially for neurological and psychiatric diseases, to personalize substances?
Okay, we'll repeat the question just quickly. So is Newron also taking a personalized medicine approach for you? Yeah, for the CNS drugs?
If we go through the drugs that we have, so Parkinson's is 7 to 10 million patients. We have a label for add-on to levodopa in advanced Parkinson patients, and that is about 80% of the population. No, there's no personalization in that field, although I could imagine how it could work. In rats, we are talking a very small population anyway, 10 to 20,000 girls. And so far, we don't see any difference in the different genetic defects, let me call that defects, with respect to the efficacy of the drug, so there's no need to go for personalized medicine. And if we talk about schizophrenia, then this will be in the hands of a partner. We might do a phase 2b ourselves, which would be the first pivotal study of 2 in the US and the first of 3 in Europe. But clearly, these efforts would be beyond our means in schizophrenia for sure. So on our current pipeline, no. On future, absolutely, depending on the indication.
Great. Any other? We have time for one more. So. There's one.
If you can share some information about what's the environment, biotech environment in Ireland in general, around the Northern region. So is it anything like ICB also there, or anything spinning out from San Rafael, this kind of thing?
Yeah.
So the question was, how is the environment in Milan, and is it better than Munich? Okay.
I won't get on this one. I think what the Italians claim is that they have fantastic universities, fantastic science. At the same time, they do admit that transforming it into companies that make it into a listed presence doesn't work. Now, when we did the IPO in 2006, we were one of 3 companies going cross-border in 12 months' time. Bioxel, which has been acquired by Cosmo. Cosmo, which by now would be the largest market cap Italian company, but moved to, I don't know exactly, Luxembourg or Ireland for tax reasons, and was Newron. And we have seen since then only one IPO that I'm aware of in Italy. It was Molmate, which has a pretty challenging living at the Italian stock market. So the Italian state is doing a lot to attract more and make science, turn science into business. So, for example, we do have a completely new thing now applying for the first time in 2016, tax credits, which do compare the R&D expense from 2012 to 15 on average, and then any additional euro that you spend on R&D in the years from 16 to 20, you get a 50 cents tax credit. And you might say it doesn't help me a lot because I have losses, as many as I could as a biotech. But what you can do in Italy, you can compensate those tax losses with social contributions. So you don't pay any more social contributions, other contributions. That's a nice thing. Then what they have put on top is a so-called patent box. That means any income that you will generate from IP that was created in Italy will bear half the tax rate. So we have seen a lot of impulse in France comparing to that. We see a lot of impulse in Italy like that. But what we really need is more risk capital, because tax credits only work for companies that are existing and have the money to spend on R&D. So it is nice helping those companies which are in existence and have the money to spend R&D. We need more people who have money in order to support creation of new companies and to develop new compounds. And that is where we are substantially lacking behind the US. And there's little to dispute that. So yes, there is an Italian scene of excellence when it comes to universities, and Italy is very proud of it. Translation into real businesses and translation into public companies is modest, as in other countries as well, unfortunately. So I think we have everything that it needs to become a real sustainable biotech industry in Europe. We are for sure more innovative than the US, aren't we? So we need more capital to turn it into commercial success, and people who are willing to take the risk. I think we have some of the best teams in the world, best educated, coming from all around the globe, and it will be more and more. The more the US will isolate themselves, the more people will be interested to join Europe. So let's keep Europe a success and let people of high talent join us, and let's make it a competitive match between us and the US.
Yeah. There's one question here.
I have a question from the technical side. How much capital do you need for your later development?
Yeah.
Question is, how much capital do you need for the later development?
This is what puts us in a kind of comfortable situation. So sophienamide is not only fully paid for, but it pays milestones to us, double-digit millions still to come, and we get double-digit royalties in Europe, and we get mid-single-digit royalties in the US. So sophienamide, with each year, will now turn into a cash cow supporting the rest of the business. We do have 46 million euros in the bank by year's end 2016, plus milestones coming. So let's assume we have 56 million euros to pay in the bank right now to support our RED program, which is therefore fully funded to end of the clinical study, a burden of disease study, and into filing. If we decided to do a phase 2b in schizophrenia on our own, and that is something that we seriously consider because it would be the first of 2 pivotal studies in the US. It's a new mechanism, new treatment paradigm, patent life 2030 plus. Then we would raise something like 20 million more from public markets this year.
It would be a share deal, right?
It would be a share deal, yeah. I mean, you see all those fancy things like debt deals, and you see convertibles, which are in reality nothing else but debt deals. I think that we have seen too many debt-funded companies in development, where development did not turn into a success, which is part of our business. 50-50 is the probability. So debt deals, you run a 50% probability that you have a millstone around your neck in a year's time. And if you have a debt of 50, 70 million, do you want that? If I can raise equity, I won't.
Maybe later we can talk. I have connections for you for raising capital from
Fantastic. You see, you're one of the reasons why I'm here today.
Great. I was about to do that. Yeah. So yeah, time is over. Thank you very much, Stefan, for coming.
Thank you for
one
taking
good contact.